Homeschoolers still need organization. Even if your curriculum is full of workbooks, you're going to be writing papers, you're going to have extra projects you're doing. You might have a science curriculum that requires some sort of lab or journaling. How do I help my students keep track of all of their works of art, whether written or pictorial, in their own student organization? Let me show ya. Hey guys, my name is Rachel and I have been homeschooling for 9 years. I have kids ranging in age from 9 up to 16. I've got every major age grade level right now, right? So there's more to student organization than just keeping track of their works of art that they might want to go back through later and look at. But there's, what do they do with their daily curriculum? What do they do to keep track of their tasks and what it is they're supposed to be doing? So I'm just going to share with you a few things today that are working well for us. I have binders created for each of my elementary age children. So this is my third graders. It says stories, history, and science. There are some other things in here. And this is my middle schoolers, same thing, but here's what I have in it. First of all, these are my favorite binders. I talk about them in my supplies, my favorite homeschool supplies video. These are from Staples. I have had these binders for years and years and years, and they do not break because of this rubber binding here. So you might pay extra for these binders, but they are going to last so long. They have this nice little pocket up front for whatever random stuff you might have. And then I buy these tabs, which I also talk about in that video. These are from Avery, and I like them because they're nice and bright, but they also have this pocket up here, which is handy for if maybe you don't have a 3-hole punch handy right away, but you know that it needs to be stored, but you just need to put it away quickly. Then you can just slide it into the pocket until you have your 3-hole punch handy. Okay, so here's what we've got in each of their binders. We have a tab for history, a tab for science. My middle schooler, she did some Brave Writer this year, and that was all digital, so I put that in here. Then we've got finished papers. Any papers that she wrote that she wanted to keep in here could go there. I made a tab for art, but actually currently we kind of just hang our art all up here. But if they had something extra they wanted to do, they could also keep it in here. Free write, which is basically journaling. And then I threw some drawing stuff back here. This is like if they, maybe during read aloud, they want to draw, or I need them to wait for me while I'm working with the other one, then they can do this quiet activity of drawing. And then in the back is just blank notebook paper. For my middle schooler, I also had a reading record. We have been really terrible, though, about keeping this up to date. So if you are the kind of parent whose children read a lot of books and you want to keep track of them, you know, I don't have a separate tab for that. I just put it up here in the front. You could do that if they wanted to keep track of their goals or some personal stuff here, things that they need just for everyday use. I just put it up front. So in my history tab, I talked about how we did missionary stories, and I made my own history sheets. So these are just some of the things that they did here, and this is where I put it while they were working on them. If they had maps or anything, they could put them in here. And then for science, any journaling pages we did through the good and the beautiful for science, they could put here. And then Brave Writer, I didn't put all of the lessons in here. As you can see, I only put weeks 1 through 5 because I knew we weren't going to get to it all, and I didn't want this book to be very, very heavy. So I just put some of them in there, but she knew which week she was on, which lesson she was on. She could go to the corresponding week that she was on. So these tabs, I think, I'm not sure where I got these tabs. They're probably also an Avery product because I just really like Avery products. But as you can see, those tabs are actually more hidden. The other reason I like these, just as a note of reference, I like them because if you do have things in page protectors, the page protector does not come out and cover the tabs. So these particular tabs are made for if you have page protectors, whereas these numbers are not. So you can see the page protector sticks out farther than the numbers. So if I used these to divide things that had page protectors, I would not see them. but they're very handy for things like this, things you might be writing in where you want to separate lessons so that you don't have to update this thing every single week. This is where she put some of her finished papers. So this was one of her Brave Writer projects, which was to create a book cover. So that was her finished book cover. So we didn't want to 3-hole punch that, so we just put it in here. And then we don't have any of her papers in here at the moment because they have not been printed off the computer yet. Like I said, we don't have any art in here because it's all up there on display. For free write, this is what I've been doing. I had this really cool book of journaling topics, and it had something for every single month. So I printed out the month that we were on, and I told my daughters, you can pick whatever topic you want and whatever day and just cross out what it is you did. So for example, I think I actually started doing this mid-March. Those are the ones that my daughter wanted to do. I'm not sure which one she actually did. We didn't do it every day, but this was nice when I said, when it was time to just go do your journaling, they could come here, pick a topic, and then my intention was for them to do it all in here. It looks like she did. She did her journaling in the same tab. My other child did not. And then the drawing stuff, I got this stuff free off of the Good and the Beautiful website because they have some of these drawing booklets as full little curriculums, but in their samples, they had several drawing samples. So I went ahead and printed off everything for free that they had, and I stuck it back here for my daughters to do. Those are just some fun activities we did at the beginning of the year. And then, like I said, notebooking paper in the back. That's one of her brainstorming thing. But whenever they need notebook paper, it's in the back. So it's pretty simple. Pretty simple stuff here. But anytime there's any sort of loose leaf paper assignment or worksheets or something that doesn't go nicely into a workbook, this is where it goes. Just to show you, this is the current European map they need to be labeling. Very similar setup here, another reading log that we are just horrible about writing these things down. So I guess I'm going to give up on that. History, science. She does not have Brave Writer, so for her, Good and the Beautiful Grammar, and that program does say to have a space for your child's stories, poems, and papers. So I did make that for language arts, poems, and papers and such. She does have her free write, her journaling tab, art, and then things that fell out here. I don't even think there's anything in here. And then her loose leaf paper in the back. So same thing here, just history worksheets, science stuff from our Good and the Beautiful unit, science worksheets that they've used, my daughter's papers. She's even done some random drawings that I went ahead and threw in here because I said, you should use these drawings to create a story. It was like, you know, it looks very magical here. And she just makes up these random characters. So anyway, she thought that was a good idea. Maybe that'll be a summer project, her writing a story with all of her illustrations. And then her journaling. I had this leftover paper from when we had used a reason for spelling and a reason for handwriting. So I went ahead and 3-hole punched it back here in case she ever wanted to use it for one of her journaling topics if one of these went with the theme of what she was doing. So if you have any like writing paper like that, I think this is an excellent use. Put it in their journaling section. So yeah, colored paper, you guys. Colored paper is always a hit, especially with girls. Don't just go with the plain white. Get the colored stuff. Leave me a comment below. What is your trouble spot for student organization? What do they have trouble keeping organized? What do you need help with? Or do you have a fantastic idea that you need to tell me so that I can share it with the world? Let me know. Comment below. Okay, and then I've talked about before in this video up here about the checklists that I sometimes use for them, these colorful checklists. In fact, let me show you an example of one. I will link Erin Condren below because that is where I had these made. But I thought they were so pretty in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then I have a checklist for all the things. We haven't been using them as much this year because we just had so many things that interrupted. It just didn't work out. But I am going to adopt this again because I need my daughters to be a little bit more responsible with what they're supposed to be doing. And I do love how bright and colorful these are. So these are from Erin Condren. I will link below. But really, I use lots of things to help them keep track of what it is they're supposed to be doing. I also use my homeschool planner. So here is an example of one week back in September where I wrote everything down, and then as we complete it, it gets highlighted, but I leave this out on the school table. And so if they need to know what is next up, it's written down here. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then all the assignments are across the top. This planner is from Plum Paper Planner. I will link this video below so you can see how to order it and customize it. I am probably not going to use this again next year, not because I didn't like it. I love the colors, I love the quality, and I love the size. But it was a little bit pricey, and I just didn't utilize all of the things that it had to offer, so I might go with something more inexpensive or with a company that actually rewards me for using their products. And Plum Paper doesn't really reward me. I like to be rewarded for my loyalty. All right, the other thing that I might use is just a plain old notebook. I've used a notebook before to write down with checkbox what they do. And let me show you what, I just use whatever I need for the day, you guys. I sometimes am a creature of habit, sometimes so not. But I have set this whiteboard up in my kitchen right now because we're doing a lot of school at this table these days. I'm not sure why. I think it's just easier because after we do our morning time, I catch my daughters right away, we start on math, and I get as much done as I can. And I feel like if we get up from the table and go to the other room, sometimes I lose them. So we've been doing it here these days, so I went ahead and brought this in here. And as you can see, I've written down one of my daughter's checklists for the day. This is what you absolutely have to get done, and as she gets them done, she can just cross off the boxes. But if you have a child who's forgetful and who needs very specific instruction, you need to make them lists. And I just switch it up all the time what I'm going to use. Checklists, whiteboard, spiral notebook, you name it, I've used it. And then this is the other thing that I want to mention for student organization, and that is how their curriculum is organized. I talk about it in this video, all the things, how I organize the curriculum, but this is specific to my daughters and how they keep their stuff organized. So my younger daughter is white and my middle schooler is the black ones. And you can see they're labeled here. So when I say go get your handwriting, she knows it's in here. Math should go in there. Anything language arts. At the end of the year, there's just a whole gamut of stuff that ends up in here. But for the most part, this is what stays in there. And it's very helpful. They know where to put it away, and they know where it is when it's time to use it. One of the other tricks that I use to help keep my students organized, and this may seem silly, it may seem like duh, I love these little tape, what are they called, like little Post-it sticky tabs. See these little sticker tabs? This one's a really thin one. I've got thicker ones here. But my daughter knows which lesson she's on. We have various things marked because sometimes it'll say go to the front of the book and work on your memory ladders or work on these reading words, or go to the back of the book and work on chart B, the timed test. So if you have a curriculum that is constantly referring you to other areas in the book, these are such a simple way to help your student know exactly where to flip to. And then down here is where these notebooks go. When I say go get your science journal or go get your binder for history or whatever you need it for, this is where they put it. So check out my other videos on organization, curriculum organization, planning your homeschool year. Check out this playlist right here. I hope this was helpful for you. I'll see you next time. Bye.